everybody, and welcome back to another installment of the Unwatched Pile. I am one of your hosts, Stephen Billings, and here with me is your other host, Andrew Cabral. How you doing, man?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I did preview this a little bit on the most recent episode of Chasing Labels, spy number 197, so people hopefully will show up and be in tune for this. If not, they can always watch on the replay and later on anyways.
Well, we always like to hear from you guys in the chat. Of course, if you've never listened or watched the Unwatched Pile, you should watch because we got a cool setup here. We got me and Andrew are floating in Blu-rays right now. If you didn't know, over a popcorn, like it's some like death match, and whoever falls into the popcorn dies or something.
Hey, it's celebrity death match.
Yeah,
celebrity death match on MTV.
Yeah,
nice.
like celebrity death match without celebrities. But if you've never listened or watched the show, this is a show where we dust off that unwatched pile. And what's an unwatched pile? Well, it's a pile of movies, Blu-rays that you bought but you haven't seen. Sounds crazy, right? Not really if you're a film collector like we are. Physical media collectors buy a lot of things that they have not seen, and we very much partake in that. So this is our chance, usually with a guest, to pick one of them movies, watch them, then come in and give our first thoughts. And then for funsies, we go back into the collection and pick a movie to pair with it that goes to make it a nice little double feature. Because sometimes people that watch the shows have seen the movie that is our first time watch. And for them people, it's like, hell, what would match well with that? You know, and it also creates more discussion about the movie itself, you know, the first time watch, like delving usually into the themes and things like that. So, yeah, that is the show. Unfortunately, this week we do not have a guest. Every once in a while that happens. But so it'll just be me and Andrew tonight. But we will usually, when that happens, we usually do something a little extra. Tonight, we're deciding to just kind of like throw a bunch of our pickups at you. Like we got a bunch of stuff from like Criterion sale, Arrow sale, and some random things that we're just gonna to talk about our pickups that we've had for a good while now, that we haven't shared with anybody. So we're going to do that at the end. But first, we'll get into the normal stuff. We got Dustin Putman, who's frequented on this show in many different iterations, whether it's Chasing Labels, this show, or Movie Mutations, which you guys should go check out. Thank you, Dustin, for popping in. We got Haunted Sideshow saying hello, peeps, or hola, peeps. Do you like peeps?
It's an interesting slang term that I don't think is really used a lot now.
I know it means people. I mean, do you like candy, the marshmallow peeps?
Oh, those things? I've never had them, actually.
Because it's right there. You see, he's got a peep on there.
That is a little peep.
Yeah. You've never had a peep?
No, I've never had a peep.
Yeah, it's not great.
I heard that they're not very popular, but they come out every year for like Easter and Valentine's Day. And they have their fans.
They have their fans.
It's kind of like candy corn has their fans as well.
I do like candy corn. Yeah,
I used to have actually candy corn when I was a kid going out.
Yeah, I don't mind candy corn, but Peeps I could do without. I'm surprised they haven't made a movie for Peeps yet. But we'll see. Dustin says, I was wondering why it suddenly felt like Easter. I don't know.
I mean, we are hitting a holiday season coming up soon. You know, the fall is starting to kick in. Halloween decorations are slowly showing up in stores.
3 months of the year is all holiday. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. It's everything all jam packed in the last several months of the year.
Yeah. They like to get it in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I wonder if there's any financial reasons for that. Who really knows? Who really knows?
But all right, we don't have any more comments right now, so I guess we'll get into it's usually when it's no guest, I go first. So we'll do that. Okay. Yeah. We do a switcheroo when it's no guest. Usually I go last, but when there's no guest, I'll go first.
And you have an interesting movie, so I'm glad you're going first.
Yeah, so I originally picked this up. This is a Film Movement release, and I picked this up because the writer on this film is Bong Joon-ho, and I love Bong Joon-ho. I think a lot of us like Bong Joon-ho. Of course, he directed like Parasite. He's done tons of Korean films that people, The Host, Mother is another one that people really like. He's done Snowpiercer is a big one. He's done a lot of great movies. I liked Mickey 17.
It was actually one of my favorites from last year, and people didn't like it.
You didn't go to the theater to see it.
It's a unique Bong Joon-ho movie, and this one has similar Bong Joon-ho vibes. Like you said, he was a writer and a producer on it as well.
Yeah. But this one is directed by Shim Bo, and that is Sea Fog, and it came out in 2014. And like I said, this was put out by Film Movement, and this tells the story of a crew and their captain who they live in like a very like poor town, a harbor town, and they're all like the boat that they use is kind of not up. It's not an updated boat. The captain's kind of held out and held on to their their boat and the I guess whoever they work for, because they're fishermen, they go out and they get fish. Whoever they work for has put a lot of money into updating all the boats, but he's kind of been like, no, I want to keep my boat. I don't want the updates. I don't want to take your money for updates, and I just want to keep doing the way I do things. So he's been sacrificing the kind of like making the quality of life for his crew better for kind of sticking to his nostalgic old ways. But at the same time, he then gets caught up. He gets brought in for a way to make money, and that is to by some rich person that lives nearby in the town he's in, wanting him to bring immigrants from across from China, I believe. Was it China or Japan?
Yep.
I think it was China.
I want to say China, but I also want to say it was kind of like a North Korean type of situation.
Maybe.
Where they were trying to immigrate, I think, from there. But either way, it was getting involved in, illegal activities.
Illegal immigration, bringing people across the sea to get into their country. And him and his crew were going to get paid good for it. And so the story is about that journey of trying to get these immigrants back across the sea, and how far people are willing to go and sacrifice their kind of principles to do them kind of things, and there's a lot of films that have tackled this subject, but I think that this movie tells it it's in a very interesting way, and in a very Bong Joon-ho way, I think, especially with how the things kind of go in the direction the movie goes. I think a lot of guys they would have taken it in maybe a little different direction, but I think Bong Joon-ho's touch, or even just I think Korean cinema in general, feels like this is the direction it goes a lot, in a more brutal kind of direction with the story. I found it to be very good. I think the best thing about this movie, I want to say writing is good, and the writing is good, but I think the best part is the direction. I think the visuals, cinematography, all that stuff, on the boat, it all looks fantastic. I think that part of the filmmaking is better than even Bong Joon-ho's story here. But I don't know. I enjoyed it. I think there's better versions of this story. That is one of them's my double feature. But I want to hear what you think of it.
Yeah, so I'm just looking up to make sure we got correct. I believe it was Chinese Korean immigrants.
Yeah,
who were trying to immigrate illegally via boat, and yeah, the movie is interesting, very interesting. It's actually the movie's based on a play called Hameo, who was one of the characters in the movie, but it's based on a true story that I think happened in 2001. So it's very Inception-y here, where we're going from true story that got turned into a play that got adapted into a movie. Very, very interesting. Also, I like the title of the movie because the fog plays a part in the movie, because there's basically the climactic things that happen in the movie happen during this sea fog, where everything's kind of distorted. You don't really know where you are location wise. You're kind of isolated at sea. There's a lot of good tense moments permeated throughout the movie, because all of the crew members know what they're doing. They know how illegal this is. They know that if they get caught, they're going to go to prison for years and years and years. I mean, it's a big risk they are taking here, for financial reasons, and that's another thing that's interestingly part of the movie. That's why I said there's a little Bong Joon-ho action going on here, because he loves to put in political themes in his movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you've seen Parasite, the whole thing's
Yeah.
about like classism, rich versus poor, all this kinds of stuff. And that's part of this movie, because these people are desperate enough to have to make money, that they're going to do something illegal to do it, which I guess is a universal thing, because we've seen people, steal,
Yeah.
rob banks. We've seen this happen forever. But this movie has this tenseness to it throughout, where at any moment something can go wrong.
Yeah.
Because like the crew members are not like the nicest guys. One of them is a sexual deviant.
I was gonna say there's
mildly.
a lot of like perversion. Like there's a lot of crew members that's
like,
all
these
they're
guys
doing
are
is
like regular, like they're working class dudes, but they have baser like animal instincts. You know
yeah.
what
I mean, they go in at the beginning. They're going into shore and like I mean it's almost a cliche at this point. A lot of seamen they come to land, and what do they want to do? Find a good meal, a drink, and the lady
and women,
like
yeah. And it really is interesting how this movie explores all of those, like I said, these basic animal instincts, if you will, or these desperate instincts, really. Then there's there's like two halves to this movie, without spoiling it, because I feel like there's a twist in the film that if you give it away, you give away the whole movie. But like the first half is about kind of like this friction amongst the people who are immigrating and the crew members, and how they view each other class-wise, like a lot of classism in there. And then the second half, it morphs into something truly dark and I wouldn't even say morally gray, morally dark, and like desperation breeds moral decay. It's really interesting how bold the movie takes its turn partway
and that's
through.
where I think the South Korean like influence, like I feel like there's a lot of films, like I think about I'm blanking on the director's name, but like the guy that did like the Two Sisters.
Him.
That's
because I was thinking of Chan-wook Park, because I was thinking
but
of
that's the director, isn't it? Isn't Chan-wook Park?
No, that's not. That's not.
That's
not him. But let me look up the Two Sisters, because he also did what's the movie that we did a whole episode on?
Damn, I'm not having a good memory night.
No, it's Kim Ji-woon.
Okay.
That's the director of Two Sisters.
What is the serial killer movie I'm thinking that he did?
That's what I'm looking up right now.
Yeah. I'm blank. That's what I'm thinking about.
I Saw the Devil.
I Saw the Devil. Yeah.
That's dark.
That's the kind of vibes you get, I think, in the second half of this movie. That it like takes that like it does not pull any punches in it, and it takes you down a path that you're like, okay. And that's where I feel like a lot of I mean, South Korean cinema has a lot of that in it. They do go in that brutal route. So yeah, I like the movie a lot. I think it's something I would definitely revisit. But I do think that my pairing is the more well-defined version of it. I think when it comes to like exploring the themes a little bit, like because I feel like we explore them pretty well, like as a build up, and then when it gets to that second half, it goes and it kind of like cuts it off. It don't really explore why they're doing things exactly the way that we're just like cutting through it.
Yeah, I find that too. Like this movie, that's kind of one of my most negative parts of the movie, is that it feels like two different movies. And just when you're getting into all of the interesting aspects of the first half of the movie, like I said, a lot of the political themes and societal themes, cultural themes, when it comes to all this kind of immigration and differences in class, differences of culture, differences of race between these two groups. There's a twist that happens which radically changes the movie, to the point where like all of that stuff in the first half kind of gets thrown out the window without fully exploring it. And I'm like, oh, I guess we're just going to move on to something else. It's a radical shift, but bold shift nonetheless. I'm curious what you paired up with it.
I mean, I think it won't be as like, I think my pairing is like pretty like on the nose for me, I feel like, but we'll see. We'll see how you feel. Before we get into your pick, we got Josie who's popped in with some of her first time picks. Says hello, Andrew and Steven. New watches I want to highlight: Cactus Flower from '69, Lemonade Joe from '64, Mr. Freeman, Yadambo, Deliverance, in the Cut, and Other People's Money. Deliverance, of course, is a big highlight here. That's a big one.
John Borman.
Yeah. I don't know that I've seen any of these other ones.
I'm looking up Cactus Flower right now because it feels like it's a movie I may have seen. But obviously Deliverance is the big one. John Borman, there's actually a documentary floating around right now about John Borman's the making of Exorcist 2, which is considered not good. It's not. I mean, the movie Exorcist 2 has a bad reputation. No one seems to really like it. But apparently it had such a tumultuous making of it. They made a whole documentary about the making of it. I
like stuff like that. A New Leaf. I know that's a big one, a big release this year.
Is that? Well,
Cinematograph put that out.
Oh, that's the Elaine May movie.
Yeah.
Yes, that movie's excellent.
Yeah. Hourglass, Santorum, and the Duchess.
Oh, that movie's also a trip.
Is it?
Yeah, that was also put out by Radiance.
Yeah,
it was put out by Radiance, and that movie is just absolute madness. It's really excellent.
And the Duchess of Dirtwater Fox is the last one she's got here. But
yeah, I've seen. So Cactus Flower is the movie with Ingrid Bergman and Walter Matthau and Goldie Hawn. That's why I've seen it.
Okay.
That makes a lot of sense. I knew it sounded familiar to me. But yeah, I've seen. Is there anything else I've seen on this list? Yeah, no. In the Cut. That's the woman who directed The Piano.
Okay.
I believe that is Jane Campion's film from 2003. Yeah, that's like a neo-noir, I believe. Yeah, Meg Ryan's in that, Mark Ruffalo, Jennifer Jason Leigh. I haven't seen the movie, but I've been wanting to see it for years. It's got a Blu-ray release, but kind of an older one. I'm surprised that hasn't gotten some type of re-release yet by somebody.
There's a lot of movies that have fallen through the cracks through the years that need upgrades.
I feel like it's a Jane Campion film. I feel like Jane Campion's movies should get boutique releases. Like I feel like those, like I just mentioned, The Piano, several other movies have gotten boutique releases as well. But yeah, that seems like that should come out relatively soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
So do you want to move on to my
Let's do it.
pick now? So my pick is a Sam Peckinpah film. And this is a Sam Peckinpah film that I've been waiting many, 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 many years to watch. And that's Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid from 1973. This
is one I've wanted to watch for a while too. Yeah.
Yeah, I had the DVD for many years. I think I bought it used like 10, 11, 12 years ago. And it's just been sitting in my shelf in my Sam Peckinpah collection. I never watched it. I never watched the DVD, but I upgraded to the 4K UHD Criterion release of Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. Like I said, 1973 Sam Peckinpah. This came out, I think, in 2024, right around the time of one of the sales. So I picked it up like day one at one of the sales from Barnes and Noble. And it has this edition has 3 cuts of the movie. It's got the original theatrical release, which runs 106 minutes long. It has the 50th anniversary release, which is 117 minutes long. And then it has the final preview cut release that runs 122 minutes long. And that is the release actually done by Sam Peckinpah. And that is actually only available on Blu-ray in this set. The other cuts are available on both Blu-ray and 4K. What is fascinating about this movie had a tumultuous making of. Almost more fascinating than the actual movie itself. It's one of those. As people may or may not know, Sam Peckinpah had a lot of personal demons throughout his life and career. Typically, alcoholism was a big, big one that reared its head a lot. And it affected his career greatly, especially, the further it went on and the further he delved deeper and deeper into alcoholism. And this movie's production was of did wasn't spared of those ills. For example, like I think every day he had to start off the day by drinking because he was in such an alcoholic state that he would start like visibly shaking and going through alcoholism withdrawal. He could only work like certain hours of the day because as the day would go on and he would drink so much, he wouldn't be useful on set. There was other production issues when they came to being over budget and over schedule. There was one part of the movie of the production of the movie where the half of like the camera lens was out of focus, and the studio wouldn't bring somebody to fix the camera. So all of the stuff would be out of focus that they were shooting on the day. And this was back in the day where they would have to send the film out to get the dailies. So they'd have to shoot, not knowing what you got on film, send it to the lab back in I think LA, from wherever they were shooting, and they had to develop it, and then half the stuff was unusable because it was out of focus. And because like the lens had some type of issue with it, the camera had some type of issue with it. Tumultuous release, making of, and then in post production, this movie. Sam Peckinpah fought for the studio and the producers throughout the making of. He fought in post, basically to the point where the studio took this movie away from him. It was the same thing that happened on Major Dundee, which was another film that he worked on in the mid 70s or so, where it got taken away from him in post, and then we got several cuts of the movie. So what ended up happening is his initial cut of the movie, like his big grand cut, was 165 minutes. Obviously, the studio wasn't having it. So he cut it down to 124 minutes, which was the initial preview cut that he showed. And you wouldn't believe this, Steven. Do you know who was in the audience for that preview cut and loved the movie? One, Martin Scorsese back in the 70s. Of course he was there. And he said it was the best movie Sam Peckinpah had done since The Wild Bunch. And so the studio wasn't happy with the 122-minute cut. They were already pissed off enough at Sam Peckinpah, so they took away the movie from him, cut it down to 106 minutes, and that's the one that was exhibited, and that's the one that was available for about a decade. And it wasn't until I think 1988 where the preview cut, or it was called the Warner cut, was release, and that was the 122-minute cut or longer cut, if you will. And then there was a special edition cut that was re-edited in 2005 for the DVD, which added more time in, and that was 115 minutes. And then, Stephen, you wouldn't believe this, in 2024 they made another cut of the movie, and that is the 117-minute cut, which is the 50th anniversary release, which is kind of an amalgamation of the theatrical cut and the preview cut. They actually got one of the old editors to come in and work on that cut along with another one. He and this other guy do a special feature on here of their process of the audio commentary of how they put this cut together. There were originally 6 editors on this movie, which if you got 6 editors on a movie, things aren't going great in post-production. So, and needless to say, this movie's had a massive, massive history on home media, post life. It's got a reappraisal over the years. It's one of those that was initially panned by critics back in the 70s, but it was picked up by people. And for those of you who don't know, the premise of this movie it's kind of playing with history a little bit, but it is about the Western, larger than life characters of Pat Garret and Billy the Kid. And Pat Garret and Billy the Kid were once friends, then turned enemies. So Billy the Kid was a famous outlaw who I think was, he was like robbing banks and murdering people. I think he was murdered like a dozen people or whatever. And he and Pat Garret used to run crew together. They used to run as bandits together. And then Pat Garret kind of broke away, did his own thing, and then became a sheriff. And at the very beginning of this movie, Pat Garret goes to Billy the Kid and he says, I'm going to be sheriff here in about a week's time, and I'm going to come after you. Like, I've been charged to arrest you for whatever such and such charges. And that's how this movie kind of kicks off, as the hunt of Pat Garret hunting down Billy the Kid. Initially, he captures him, but Billy the Kid gets away. And the rest of the movie kind of goes with you get these two parallel storylines of each other kind of chasing one another. They go on their own little trips, but they're all trying to One's trying to avoid one, one's trying to capture one. It's a classic friends to enemies type of story, but it's shot in the style of Sam Peckinpah. Sam Peckinpah westerns are not traditional westerns. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of editing. Really great editing, nuanced editing, slow motion. Like this was decades before slow motion and bullet time ever became a thing in action movies. So he was doing stuff way ahead of his time. People, of course, at the time did not like it. By people, I'm talking about critics and studios. They were like, "Oh, why are you doing it like this?" But he was a man really ahead of his time. I will say this though, this release here, the 4K UHD restoration that they did for the original theatrical cut and the 50th anniversary cut looks astonishing. Like amazing. One of the best restorative works I've ever seen. Like it's night and day in comparison because I went to watch the preview cut, which was only restored in 2K and on Blu-ray as opposed to 4K. Night and day difference. Massive difference. It's like watching two different movies. It really, really is. And just aesthetic wise, because Sam Peckinpah's westerns have the grit and the grime and that certain skeevy aesthetic of the 1970s, late 1960s. Like these worlds feel lived in. They feel dirty. They feel gray moralistic or maybe more darkly moralistic, like we were just talking about with Sea Fog. This movie's got people getting, gunned down in the street, people getting in shootouts at people's homesteads, people dying in the desert, being attacked in the desert. It's a down and dirty Western, not like a John Ford or a Howard Hawks. It's got more of those spaghetti Western vibes. If you like The Wild Bunch, this is a good companion to The Wild Bunch, which desperately needs a 4K edition at some point. I mean, Warner Brothers, get on that or give it to Criterion, give it to somebody. But this release here, I think, is excellent. Yeah, I wanted to run down a little bit of the special features. Like I said, there was an audio commentary for the 50th anniversary release featuring Sador Spottiswoode and critic Michael Sragow. I think Spottiswoode, he was one of the original editors. Because Paul Sador and Roger Spottiswoode are the ones who collaborated together to put the 50th anniversary release together. That's the cut I would recommend people to watch. I actually watched all three cuts of the movie. I watched all three cuts.
Really? You did?
Yeah. I had 6 hours to kill, I guess. Needless to say, I've seen this movie now 3 times because the runtimes are so close. There's not a lot of plot stuff that's radically different between the 3 cuts, but the one that flows the better, the one that's kind of more well put together, you can tell is the 50th anniversary cut of the movie, and it looks the best. It really did. That's how I spent like my Thursday night, was watching all 3 cuts of this movie. I figured I might as well do it right and just watch them all, so I have something to say about the comparison of the 3. But this release also has an interview with Clinton Halen about the film's soundtrack, Passion and Poetry, Peckinpah's Last Western, a new documentary by Mike Siegel about the making of the film. Like I said, tumultuous making of. There's an archival interview with actor James Coburn. I wanted to mention the cast of the movie too, which I failed to mention. So James Coburn plays Pat Garret, and Chris Christopherson plays Billy the Kid. Now, the one thing that the movie does get a little bit criticized for is that these actors are way older than their real-life counterparts. When Billy the Kid died, he was 21 years old. As you can tell, Chris Christopherson, not 21 years old. And I think Pat Garret was like 30 or something. And obviously James Coburn in this movie didn't look 30. He looked like he was in his 50s, easy. Yeah. Some couple of other people will pop up in this movie that you may recognize. Jason Robards is in like 2 scenes, always playing a bad guy in the 70s and 80s. This movie also has Bob Dylan, not only as actor, but doing the music for the movie. The song Knocking on Heaven's Door, which has been covered by so many bands, that song was specifically made for this movie, and they utilized it throughout the film. And he also does other songs for the movie as well. So you got Bob Dylan in the movie, and you've got him doing the music as well. That's also significant. But yeah, that's Pat Garret and Billy the Kid. If you like westerns of a certain kind, definitely one to check out. And this Criterion release is definitely worth it. It's got 4 discs. as well as a booklet. So it's got 4 discs, got that overlapping style, which I kind of prefer this than other packagings I've seen. But obviously on the left, or I don't know which left, but on this side, 2 4Ks, 2 Blu-rays. Um, yeah, nice artwork, and that's kind of the reason. I was actually curious, Stephen, what Sea Fog had for special features, just because I know
Um,
Film Movement is in an interesting company.
yeah. I mean, there's not a lot here. We do get a 16-page booklet with essays, um, and then we get making of featurettes that probably were stuff from the original releases, cast and crew interviews. So it's all nothing new. Probably just because a lot of the Film Movement stuff is just being kind of updated to Vinegar Syndrome through Vinegar Syndrome.
Yeah. For
So
those of you who follow us
um,
here on Chasing Labels, Film Movement is all over the OCN partner label release slates every single month. And a
yeah,
lot of their releases, I dare say, maybe all of them, are just re releases of things they put out in the past through themselves. Now they're re releasing them through the partner label umbrella, if you will.
yeah.
Usually with a slipcover that wasn't included in the past, but the special features are typically the same. Uh, Except for maybe the booklet, maybe a new edition as well. Uh, but yeah, that's interesting. Curious what you're gonna pair with Sea Fog. Speaking of which,
Well,
here we go. Drum roll, please.
yeah. So I tapped into them themes of like a film about somebody that uh, people that morally are compromising their morals in the pursuit of money. Um, I think that's something you have seen a lot in a lot of different stories. But this movie had that added element of transporting something,
Okay.
and Wages of Fear just felt just so perfect. Wages of Fear, you know, they're not people that they're transporting, but they're transporting nitroglycerin, and it explodes, and the people in Sea Fog, things happen. So, but yeah, I felt like Wages of Fear really dives into them themes as well. Where you got this poor town, you got this town full of people that have no jobs, looking for ways to survive, and then you got this rich man that comes in and says, "Hey, I got a job for you. I will pay you to take this very unstable nitroglycerin across really bad terrain." And these 4 men get picked to do the job, and along the way, they go through things together and make decisions that get others killed and get them, like it puts themselves. It is a test of their morals and a test of their integrity, fortitude, all them things, and it's uh also one of the best movies ever made. So
Yeah,
it's
I was
it's
gonna say it's also one of the greatest movies ever made.
it's not a hard decision to put this with anything, but I think it fits really nicely alongside of Seafall because it's got a lot of them political themes that Bong Joon-ho likes to delve into, but from a Frenchman. This is a French. Henry Clouseau has done a lot of great films, and this is one of his. It's probably his greatest film, and you know it really delves into them, like you said, political messages that like what Bong Joon-ho likes to go into, and but doesn't also in a there was a remake, Sorcerer, that William Friedkin did. He calls it more of a reinterpretation of the original novel.
Yeah, I think it's a readaptation of
It's
the
a
original novel
readaptation.
Wages of Fear.
Yeah, yeah, and that one I could have went with, but I feel like it didn't really tap in to delving into them like more because he goes the characterizations in freaking Sorcerer is a little different, and it gets you get brought into the story way differently. It almost feels more like an action movie than in a lot of ways, especially the opening of Sorcerer, where it's like you get to see all the different characters and what's going on in each of their lives and how they get to the prison where they're
Yeah,
at.
how they get to South America.
Yeah, it's a little different. I don't know that it feels exactly like it falls in line with Sea Fog. So that's why I picked this one because I felt like Wages of Fear was way more in line tonally and thematically to be a good pairing. So
Yeah, and also it has that really great tension throughout the movie, especially the set. I mean,
yeah,
once they go on their journey of transporting these highly explosive material, the tension is racketed up through the roof because any little bump in the road could literally blow up the whole thing. Literally, that's how dangerous those chemicals are. Yeah, Wages of Fear is an astonishing work. It's like I said, one of the best movies ever made. There is a Blu-ray which Steven has, which I have. There's a new 4K from Criterion as well.
yeah,
If you want to watch, I'm actually curious what that looks like because it already looked good on Blu-ray.
yeah.
I'm curious what the 4K looks like. Almost went and upgraded it this time during the sale, but I did not.
Like that. That's like the things that I not have not been able to really do much of is go and upgrade my Criterion's. Because I mean the Blu-rays are already so good. I mean I don't
Yeah,
know. It's
that
not.
was one of the things that was. I mean, for years and years, we kind of even here on Chasing Labels, we were kind of like punching Criterion to upgrade. Like everybody else is getting the 4K game. You guys got a little late to the party, and obviously now that's not the case at all. But it's also like at this point, I'm like, okay, I really don't need a 4K upgrade of this specific movie.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
already bought this on Blu-ray, which was like the peak standard of that time. Like Criterion Blu-rays were the peak standard when they came out, and now like the standard has been raised up. Like they raised the
yeah.
roof, if you will.
Oh man.
Uh, so do have to pick your battles a little bit. They also, it's movie dependent, it's release dependent. If it's a Blu-ray that they put out in 2008, 2009, getting the 4K in 2026 is a worthy upgrade, I think. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it is dependent. But I guess we move over to my pick, pairing up Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. I wanted to not necessarily latch on to the genre of the Western, but latch on to the kind of the main theme or the main core of the movie, which is the, friends turn to enemies storyline, which we've seen happen in television shows, miniseries, movies, books, comic books. It's been a theme throughout entertainment history, and even to this day. So there was a lot of choices actually, but one that popped into my head and gives me a good excuse to once again praise this movie is the movie that came out a couple of years ago called The Banshees of Inisherin,
Wow.
which
Yeah.
is the Martin McDonagh film. And this movie, I think, is one of the best screenplays I've seen in many, many years. To this day, I still say that this is one of the best screenplays ever. Don't know how this movie um, didn't win the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay. Truly shocking. Truly shocking. But this movie here stars Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, takes place in Ireland. And it's a really the core of the movie is about two friends who all of a sudden become enemies, kind of out of nowhere. Now, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid has a little more context. Pat Garrett becomes a lawman, and then he also gets hired by a big cattle company to hunt down Billy the Kid. So there's a monetary, financial gain involved. There's a moral gain involved as well. There's all kind of context to it. But the Banshees of Inisherin, there really initially is not any reasoning behind why these two friends all of a sudden become enemies, other than one day the Brendan Gleeson character tells the Colin Farrell character, "Hey, I don't want to be your friend anymore." It's as simple as that. Where these best friends, they spend every single day together, like hanging out at the pub, you know, visiting each other at each other's houses, just living on this isolated island in Ireland together. I'm assuming they grew up together perhaps as well. I mean, it's one of those things where all of a sudden one day one of your friends all of a sudden doesn't want to be your friend anymore, and there's really not quite a rhyme or reason behind it. I mean, there's reasons given, but even then, it's still like ambiguous and still leaves your head scratching as a viewer, where basically the Brendan Gleeson character says that, like, I just kind of want more out of life than this, which is kind of cruel. It's kind of cruel. It's
Yeah. I
like,
mean, it's yeah. I remember. I'm on the same wavelength as you. I remember thinking the movie was brilliant, and I thought like it's really tapping into that idea of like sometimes you just kind of decide one day that you want to grow you or maybe you feel like you've grown past the people that
yeah,
you're around.
someday
Yeah.
one just kind of wake up and want more out of life than what you have and what's going on.
And so when you have to make a tough decision like what he has to make, they think it's about them when it's not about them. It's about himself. Like he's making a choice that's not really supposed to be any
and he
offensive.
explains to him over and over again that it's not a personal it's not anything that you did. It's not anything really that you are. I just kind of don't want to be your friend anymore. I'm moving past this, and it also gives the perspective of the Colin Farrell character of like, what does a person like that feel like when that happens to them? They're left in kind of like, an absence in their life, questioning themselves as to, is it something wrong with me? Am I not good enough for this person? Why is it the way it is? And then you start to like hold on to that person who no longer wants you around, and then negative consequences come from that. But it's almost out of desperation that you do those things, and you keep bothering that person when that person tells you just to leave them alone. I don't want to, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to see you. Just leave me alone. And that other person, the Colin Farrell character, just doesn't. And like I said, negative consequences come from that. And not only negative consequences, just like, in these people's lives, but then the Colin Farrell character ends up hating the Brendan Gleeson character. So now it's like double enemies become, double friends become enemies situation. It's a really well in-depth movie. Excellent acting, just extraordinary. Martin McDonagh, I still think, does some of the best screenplays. I know people have kind of reassessed and are not as hot on Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri as they were when it came out. I know a lot of people have reappraised that movie in a negative way. I still think In Bruges is excellent. That's another Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson team-up movie with Martin McDonagh. Martin McDonagh has a theater background, so he wrote a lot of plays early on. That's where he got his start. So I feel like that's why his movies have such good dialogue and dynamics between the characters and are very play-like in terms of the rich dialogue. But I've always loved this movie. Immediately when it came out, it was one of my favorites of the year it came out, and I thought the screenplay was just astonishing. This is another movie that I wish had gotten a better release. All it has here for special features is creating of Banshees of Inisherin and deleted scenes. That is it for this release from 20th Century Studios, of all people.
Makes sense.
But yeah, so I chose Banshees of Inisherin to pair up with Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, a little friends to enemies double feature, if you will. You could have chosen a bunch of other movies. I didn't realize so many movies I had seen had that trope in it. Like Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith was a choice I could have made.
Could have made it.
Could have made it. But yeah, so I don't know if you want to transition now to a little bit of a haul video we've got going on here.
Yeah, so yeah, we're gonna jump into talking about some pickups and things that we've had. We'll start with the Criterion stuff, but before we get into that, Josie had commented and asked me, how's Adeline? Adeline is great. She's hopefully going to be starting preschool in a couple weeks. Something fun I'll bring up related to physical media with her. So recently, and it wasn't really on purpose, but she caught me watching, because I've been rewatching Samurai Jack here. As you can see, I got the Blu-ray.
Nice.
And she's caught me watching it, and she got interested in Samurai Jack, my 4-year-old. She loves Samurai Jack. She literally will watch. There's not a lot of things she will sit down and just watch and actually show interest in. She sits down and watches all episodes with me, talks with me while we're watching it. She is interested. She likes it, and she specifically likes the song. Gotta get back to the past, Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
Wacha. Yeah. She loves it. She'll she'll karate chop me when it gets to that. Watch out. Yeah. She loves it. So that's been really awesome to like find something that I grew up with and she's connecting with.
Of all the things is Samurai Jack. Samurai Jack is not. It wasn't marketed as a children's animated show, and
it's not really been. It's not.
No, because it was. I believe it was on Adult Swim back in the day when it premiered, which is like the late night, more adult Cartoon Network type of stuff, which is still around today. I mean, Rick and Morty is on Adult Swim and other shows and whatnot. But yeah, that show is like dark. It's not like bright and colorful for
It's not.
children.
It's not. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think
The animation is great though.
is great. It's
It's
eye-catching.
Tartakovsky is who does it.
Yeah, yeah. It's I think what it is there's, because of the animation style, it can be colorful, but it's also like really like interesting characters, all the creatures, all the things. The way that it's edited with like that very like stylistic kind of ode to old school, Japanese things like that, where it like brings in the aspect ratios and stuff like that, makes the show very visually like eye-catching for a child, I think. But obviously she don't know everything that's going on.
Of course.
But she thinks that it's very interesting to watch. Even, I mean, there's even scenes where Samurai Jack, Samurai Jack's very influenced by Kung Fu, the show with David Carradine. And there's literally scenes where Samurai Jack's for like a few minutes is just walking around places completely quiet. She's riveted. She's like watching the whole time. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but I love it. So I just wanted to share that. Thought that was really fun, since she asked about Adeline. But she's doing great. She's hopefully, like I said, going to preschool soon, and she can start getting into that routine. So, but let's get into physical media. We're going to start with some Criterion stuff. Andrew hasn't been able to put out his normal Criterion video that he does, his haul video. So we're just going to kind of throw it in here.
Yeah, I've been mentioning it a couple of times on recent episodes of Chasing Labels that it was coming. I just didn't know when or which form. I think even on the recent episode I mentioned it as well. So I decided to I guess we'll kind of attach it to this one since we didn't have a guest and we were trying to figure out what to do in kind of the third part of the show. I thought might as well do it now. So for those of you listening, for those of you watching, this will be kind of my Criterion haul video. I've got 16 Blu-rays and 4Ks here.
Well, I'll just stop real quick. I got one.
Okay. I guess maybe you should go first.
I'll go first. Sound of Metal is one I've really wanted to get. It was, when I saw it in theaters, it was amazing. I loved it. And then I think it was announced. This was its only real, I think, release. It got announced straight into Criterion, I believe.
Yeah, that's the only physical media release, at least here. I remember that was an Amazon release. Like Amazon Studios was the one who put that movie out. So it got a theatrical release, and then it's been available on there ever since. But it's one of those where, like, hey, a streaming service is putting out a physical release. That's one of their things. Kind of a rarity. It still is.
I mean, it is, but it seems like they're loosening up a little. Netflix.
They're getting a little looser now, which is nice.
But Riz Ahmed, great. I don't think he was even nominated for this, but he should have been. He was amazing in this movie. And he might have been nominated. I can't remember. But a drummer who starts to slowly lose his hearing. Just thinking about that, just thinking about it in the context of somebody that loves film. If I started losing my vision slowly, as somebody that really loves watching movies, that alone would just like start to break my heart. So just thinking about somebody that loves to be a drummer and starts to lose their hearing, I mean, it's bad. It's bad thing.
The sound design and the sound mixing in the movie is kind of incredible. Yeah. It did win 2 Oscars. Which is, I'm assuming it was technical Oscars. Like, I feel like that's the case.
Sound, yeah.
Yeah, Olivia Cooke was in the film as well. I think she's an excellent actress. And the movie itself, I see clips from it all the time online, like just small snippets on like TikTok or Instagram Reels, and it's always like a devastating clip from the movie. Because the movie is rather depressing.
Sure, yeah.
The movie is very.
But them are your favorite movies. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I do like my pessimistic movies.
Yeah.
It is definitely one of those, and Riz Ahmed's a good actor.
He's so underappreciated. But yeah, that's the one I picked up from the sale. I got a lot more on the other end of that, but let Andrew run through his Criterions.
Yeah, let me go through my Criterions. I'm just looking up what. The Sound of Metal won for best sound, and then best achievement in film editing. Okay,
that's great.
No, that's good. It was well done. But yeah, I've got a bunch here. First up here, it has a little bit of an asterisk to it, or a little bit of a caveat to it. That is the Blu-ray of Doctor Strangelove or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. Now, you may be wondering, hey, isn't there a 4K of this already available through Sony Pictures? Why, yes, it is. Does it have all of the extras from Criterion? It also does. And also, Criterion is going to be putting the 4K out in the Kubrick box set in October. So why of all reasons do
Why
I
on
buy
God's
this?
green earth?
Why on good God green earth am I buying this Blu-ray? Simply because my collecting OCD got the best of me, and I've always wanted it. It's been on my want to buy list since like
I'm surprised you haven't
2014.
had it. Being such a big fan.
I haven't had this edition of it, and this edition also comes with a bunch of like these cool little extras in here, like little actual like physical extras that I don't know are going to be re-put out in the big Kubrick set. They probably are, but since it's going to be a while like till I get the Kubrick complete 4K set, I thought I would just get this for now. Why didn't I just get the 4K from Sony? That was available in one of their big Columbia sets and also available individually. Because I'm an idiot and I like the Criterion name. I think it gives prestige like a dummy. But either way, Doctor Strange was one of my favorite movies ever, and I've owned it on DVD. I've owned it on Blu-ray. I own it on Blu-ray now twice. Probably gonna get it on 4K eventually too. It's just one of those things. So
It's okay.
forgive
It's
me,
okay.
collecting gods.
Yeah, you're okay. You're totally fine.
Yeah, but something that actually just made a DVD to 4K upgrade is Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, the Martin Scorsese movie. This just came out last month, so I definitely had to get it. This is one of the like last Scorsese movies that didn't have an HD release. I don't think there's any of his feature-length films that don't have at least a Blu-ray release. I know Kundun has a Blu-ray release that is actually out of print from Kino. You know what, the one it's who's that knocking at my door doesn't have a Blu-ray release. The one he did in the 60s with Harvey Keitel. I think that's the last one, if I do recall. But this was one that was rumored for many years. Picked that bad boy up. The Crying Game, the Neil Jordan film from 1992. This has been released a couple of times on Blu-ray, but this is the 4K of it. It's not the first time Neil Jordan's been in the collection. He was also in with the Bob Hoskins film where he plays a cabbie. Oh goodness, what is it? Luckily, I'm on the Criterion.
Mona Lisa?
Yeah, it is Mona Lisa. Yeah, good pull there, Steven. Save my rear end. Lawrence Kasdan's film Body Heat, or the 1980s version of Double Indemnity, with all of the heated sexual nature that they couldn't do back in the 40s. Literally, literally that is this movie. Lawrence Kasdan's Body Heat. This was available on Blu-ray for many years. I've almost bought it so many
The
times.
guy that did
Luckily, I waited.
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. I just saw Lawrence Kasdan actually the other day. He's in the documentary, the Martin Short documentary on Netflix. He actually directed it, and he's also in it as well. Here's a Sidney Lumet movie, Failsafe. This is a DVD to Blu-ray upgrade for me. Coincidentally, Doctor Strangelove and this movie are both adaptations of the same book, Red Alert. One's the one that everybody knows of, and that is a satire of not only the book but the Cold War in itself. One is the more serious adaptation of the story from Red Alert. So, 2 movie adaptations of the same source. That's pretty cool and completely unintentional by myself. And then Brighter Summer Day. Talk about something that's been on my list for so many years.
That's a good one.
The reason being I didn't buy this is the copy that was at my store was, I think, had like a mangled cover or something like that. But the movie's 236 minutes long. When am I going to have time to watch it?
Oh, I remember the day I watched this movie.
Yeah, because it's going to take a whole day to watch it.
No. I challenged myself. So I remember the day I watched this movie, because then I also watched this back-to-back with Stalker.
That's a double feature, Mike.
I know. I just saw these 2 movies, and I was like, 2 really long movies. Let's knock them out in a day. And that was the day. Them 2 movies.
Goodness gracious. But this is the Edward Yang film. Edward Yang, of course, did the movie Yi Yi, which also is part of the Criterion collection. But this is a movie I've been wanting for many years. Next up is a movie we talked about here on one of the monthly reviews that we do, and that is Cruel Story of Youth. This is the Nagisa Oshima film. We went and talked about this during that episode of our Criterion reviews. The 4K looks great. The movie's, I think, great as well. A movie that was a big international hit last year. It was just an accident. The Palme d'Or winner, I think, from 2025. The Jafar Panahi film, a 4K UHD release of that. Jafar Panahi makes really good movies. The movie No Bears, which got a Criterion Premieres release, or what was it called? Janus Contemporaries, I think that was the previous one. Next is one that people literally waited years and years for, and that is Network. This is the Sidney Lumet movie with a script by Paddy Chayefsky, one of the greatest screenplays ever, in my opinion, one of the greatest movies ever, prophetic in every sense of the word. Excellent acting. You have Peter Finch winning an Oscar posthumously. Who else is in this movie? Faye Dunaway, William Holden, Robert Duvall is in the film as well. Ned Beatty has a great scene in the film too. But this movie is absolutely fantastic. A worthy upgrade from the old Warner Brothers Blu-ray. And then we have Resurrection, which was a movie that came out last year, which I tried to see, but it had a super limited theatrical release and got a Criterion Premieres release or a Janus Contemporaries release, which however you want to refer to it. I still have to actually watch this. So this may be a unwatched pile pick of the future. Actually, it may actually be. It may be next month for all we know.
I was going to say, it might be
I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Defending Your Life, the Albert Brooks film. I still haven't seen this yet, but so many people in the Criterion closet were picking this up. And I was like, sense something in the water here. People really like Albert Brooks. I think that's always been the case. But this movie stars Albert Brooks and Meryl Streep. So I had to pick this up. And then another movie that we did a review of here on Chasing Labels, Trouble in Paradise, the Ernst Lubitsch film, which Steven got and he watched for the first time and really, really liked it. And I always wanted to get more Ernst Lubitsch in the collection. House Party, another one we talked about, right? I think you reviewed this.
So there's a lot of these that have been covered by us in the Criterion reviews.
Yeah, I just did
that. I got.
I went and
that he bought the ones that I got.
Yeah.
So
I really so House Party is another one we covered. Hairspray, speaking of which, we also covered. Yeah. Which came out in June. The one and only John Waters film that got. It's his only PG movie he ever made, and got turned into a Broadway musical, a hit Broadway musical, which got turned into a movie adaptation, which everybody loves. But this is the original movie that's all based on. Stray Dog, which we've talked about here on Chasing Labels, Akira Kurosawa, Toshiro Mifune, a winning combination, if you ever did see one. And then Life of Brian. What a movie. Now, this is Criterion number 61. This was a long out-of-print DVD that has just now come back into print. Criterion's reacquired the rights. This is, of course, one of the Monty Python films. You have Life of Brian, you've got Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and then you've got Meaning of Life. Those are the principal Monty Python movies. Then you have, the TV series Monty Python's Flying Circus, which has gotten many Blu-ray releases over the years and DVD as well. But yeah, this is the one that was long out of print, and people probably spent way too much money for the DVD on eBay for it. But now it's out in 4K. So that is everything from the Criterion Collection sale that I got from Barnes & Noble in July. Now, Steven, I know you've been picking up their Arrow stuff, which is kicked in as soon as that sale ended. They kicked in the next day.
Yeah, the Arrow videos had a 50% off sale at Barnes and Noble and anywhere else that's willing to match it, like Amazon. They've been doing it too. So I got a whole bunch of that stuff. I got some strays as well, but we'll start with Arrow. I know this is one you picked up yourself.
Yeah.
The Mortal Kombat and more collection with a K. That then includes the Mortal Kombat Annihilation, the one that we don't like to talk about very often. But look, these are not fantastic movies, but they look really great on this film. 4K.
astonishing.
Yeah. Even the cheesy effects, you can get past it. It looks like the people in it and everything look amazing. Like they did some great work on this thing.
Yeah, I am unbelievably impressed by how big of an upgrade it is over the Blu-ray that's been around for a long time. Yeah, like the outdoor scenes where they're fighting like on the beach looks incredible. Even the indoor scenes that are pretty darkly lit also look fantastic.
Yeah, I mean it's
the first Mortal Kombat movie, even
it's
to
fun.
this day, is considered one of the best in the video game genre. I mean, that's not really saying about the video game genre, but it still kind of holds up in a nostalgic way for me. If
Yeah,
it came
me
out
too.
coming out in '95, Steven. I don't know how old you were when you first saw it.
5.
Yeah, I played the video game. So this was a big thing when I saw in the theater as a kid. Mortal Kombat Annihilation, not so much. Ironically, as I thought Mortal Kombat Annihilation had a smaller budget than the first film, that's not the case. I completely made that lie up. So the first movie had a budget of $18 million. The second movie had a budget of $30 million. The DP from the first movie directed Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and he actually does like an interview here because he shot the first movie, and he's talking about the first movie, and he's mostly talking about shooting or directing the next movie. And I felt so bad because he seemed like such a nice guy, and I'm like, that Annihilation's not good. It really isn't. Ironically, he would go on to work with James Wan and shoot The Conjuring, and then he would do the same thing where he would then direct Annabelle. Which is also not good. Like this guy really
he should not direct things.
Perhaps he seemed like a nice guy. Definitely knows how to shoot a movie. He was talking about how he's like his father worked in the industry. His brother has a whole cinematography company and stuff like that, and all the work he did from like this back in the 70s is like an assistant, all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, man, I really wish Annihilation worked out better for him. But anywho, this release is really nice. One of the best upgrades of the year from an older release. Our friend Scott Saslow worked on this release as well. Yes. He did the layout and booklet design for this release. So shout out to him. But yeah, this was one that came out back in June, and I'm glad I finally, because I never bought these movies in any other form. Like I never had the DVDs, never had the Blu-rays. Glad I waited.
Yeah. I think this is another one Scott worked on, and you also got Falling Down.
I did not get it yet.
Oh, did you not get it yet?
No, Barnes & Noble was sold out until a couple of days ago. Amazon was on back order. So I've got to order it. So yeah, I'm envious of you. Falling Down.
It's great. This is a Joel Schumacher, probably one of his best films, if not his best film. Somebody would argue, Michael Douglas plays just like an average Joe kind of guy, working class guy who has just got fed up. And he takes it out on everybody. It's a good one, guys. And I haven't watched this yet, but I've heard really good things about the way this looks as well. But yeah, this is another one from my childhood. I'm glad that I'm seeing getting an upgrade. It was a big surprise.
Yeah, and Arrows put out Flatliners, which is another Joel Schumacher film, which is also of that time.
Yeah,
and I know people really like Flatliners as well. Yeah. They remade that movie a couple of years ago, which no one ever talks about. But anywho, did you get anything else from Arrow?
Oh, I'm still rolling here. Out of all the ones they've Texas Chainsaw Massacre that I actually kind of like. I like that original first remake that they did with Michael Bay's company.
Oh, yeah.
Jessica Biel. So I went out and I'm glad they put them out singly because I do kind of like this one. I think that the style that was applied to this movie really fits that Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that grime, that kind of the unnerving atmosphere that they create in this film. I think really works. So yeah, I was glad to be able to get this, and I'm sure it looks great.
The company was called Platinum Dunes.
Yeah,
and they did that. They did Texas Chainsaw: The Beginning, which was a prequel to that movie, and those movies have such a specific aesthetic to them, only made during that time, the 2000s.
They made that whole camera noise thing popular in the trailers. That noise.
Yeah.
That was a thing for a minute.
Yeah, those movies have a cult following. They definitely do.
Yeah.
In terms of all the remakes they did in the 2000s, those were pretty successful. I mean, to the point where they haven't really done much else with the Texas Chainsaw franchise
Except for the
since.
Nightmare on Elm Street one, they didn't. Nobody likes that one.
Yeah, they're still trying to recover from that. Although they're doing it again. They're
They're
doing
supposed
it
to be
again.
doing another remake, so we'll
It's
see.
like Twin Peaks. That gum
Yeah.
you like is going to come back in the style. Uh, yeah. I picked up The People vs. Larry Flint.
That's what I got to.
Yeah. This is the Milos Forman film. I think I talked about this here on Chasing Labels when it was announced, and I think Tony Miches was on during that episode, and he is a big fan of this movie. Obviously, this is a bit of a biopic about Larry Flint, who is the famous founder of Hustler magazine. Bit of a pornographer, this man. Hustler magazine famously was kind of the more risque version of Playboy, if you will. They showed a lot more, needless to say. And this movie's about him and his controversial life and all that stuff, played by Woody Harrelson. I remember when this movie came out, people were buzzing about this movie back in the 90s. I think it got all kinds of like award stuff and whatnot.
It was nominated for Best Picture, I believe.
Yeah, and then Woody Harrelson, like I said, playing Larry Flint and all this kind of stuff. I don't know if you opened yours up, but there's a card in it previewing Logan's Run that will be coming out sometime soon. So that is in there as well. Little, I'm not breaking any news here. People have actually already been showing this, but Logan's Run coming out eventually from Arrow Video. I like how they sneak these in here. I don't know if you've gone back and looked at your older Arrow releases, and they'll sneak those previews in there. But yeah, that is the Milos Forman film. I owned the old. It was the old, like, was it Sony? I think it was a Sony Blu-ray. I talked about it with Tony, and I completely forgot because I thought it was a Warner Brothers release, but I think it's a Sony release. But anywho, People vs. Larry Flint. I heard it looks great. I haven't rewatched it yet. But anything else, Steven?
Yeah, I got the Soylent Green.
Oh yeah, Soylent Green.
Obviously, I'm really interested in watching this because it apparently is like the original adaptation of the story that the one movie that came out last year, the Yorgos Lanthimos movie, is based on. Right?
That's not that movie.
I thought that was this movie.
No, that's you're talking about. The movie is called The Green Planet.
Oh, The Green Planet. I did get that mixed up. But I did look at the cast of this, and I saw that it had Richard Fleischer film, but also that it is like a kind of end of the world type of story, apocalyptic movie, and so I definitely wanted to grab this just out of curiosity. Charlton Heston, they kind of grouped this in as like part of like a dystopian sci-fi trilogy that he was a part of to go with Omega Man and Planet of the Apes. So I like these type of movies, especially when they were done back in the day, because there's always that little more edge to them that I think a lot of end of the world movies have today. That they're a lot more political. So I'm very curious about this film.
Yeah, the movie was called Save the Green Planet.
That's it. Yeah.
And it got a 4K release by Arrow, but only a UK edition was released of that movie. But Soylent Green is a famous kind of post-apocalyptic, like 1970s, like I would say political conspiracy theory thriller. I mean, it's one of the most spoiled movies of all time because if you know the plot twist, you know the whole movie basically.
Gotcha.
I always kind of thought this movie and Omega Man were similar. Omega Man was also starring Charlton Heston, also a post-apocalyptic dystopian movie, done around the same time. You're getting kind of crossovers here, but yeah,
well, I was gonna say the last Arrow I got here is, of course, the Big Daddy here, the Stranger Things 4K set. It's people have been showing this off everywhere.
Yeah, that's the night. So there's a standard edition of that, which has all of the on-disc content that you get in that release. And then that is the more limited edition deluxe where you get all the on-disc stuff, plus a lot of extra swag is thrown in there, like posters, and like I think you get like a dice, for Dungeons and Dragons dice. You get like a map of Hawkins, I think is in that release as well. And then there's a bunch of other little goodies in it. I think you get a Hellfire Club patch that you can iron on. I've seen so many people do reviews of that release. Made me insanely jealous. It is on sale during the sale on like Amazon and Barnes and Noble if you still want to pick it up. It's probably the cheapest it's ever going to be. I'm surprised it hasn't sold out yet, to be quite honest.
I'm sure they made a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm sure as well. But that's kind of it for the Criterion and Arrow.
I got a lot of strays.
I got some strays as well, but I have one from the summer Kino sale, which happened where I picked up Somewhere in Time in 4K. A bit of a history for me with this movie. I've been wanting to own this movie for 15 years and never bought it. One time, don't ask me why, don't ask me how, before the local retail store Kmart closed here in New England.
Kmart.
In the back of the store where they put all their video games, they had a row of Somewhere in Time on DVD. They had like 30 copies of Somewhere in Time on DVD. And this was like 2010, right? Or even earlier. And I was always wondering why they have so many stray copies of Somewhere in Time. But this movie's been released on Blu-ray a few times. But this is the 4K edition. This is the way to own it. Christopher Reeve, Jane Seymour, going back in time. It's a romantic love story. Your mom may love this movie.
Yeah.
Speaking of a movie my mom showed me as a kid, Throw Mama from the Train, which is the movie directed by Danny DeVito, starring Danny DeVito, as well as Billy Crystal. It's his remake of Strangers on a Train, the Alfred Hitchcock movie, where these two characters, I think, they're in like a writing class or something. I think I haven't seen this movie since VHS like 30 years ago, but I think Billy Crystal's teaching like a writing seminar class and Danny DeVito's a student, and basically they are going through personal problems in their lives. Danny DeVito has this overbearing mom, played by Anne Ramsey, who just yells and abuses him. And Billy Crystal has like an ex-girlfriend, ex-wife that's giving him problems. So they decide to get rid of their problems, right? Needless to say, things don't go as easy as they should. But Billy Crystal, Danny DeVito, great on-screen pair. Peter Bogdanovich's Daisy Miller, starring Sybil Shepherd, which I talked about here on Chasing Labels. Nice to see another Peter Bogdanovich get a Blu-ray release. A period piece from Peter Bogdanovich. A little stuffy. This is the movie I think he did after The Last Picture Show. So you see a couple of people show up in here who were in The Last Picture Show, like Sybil Shepherd. And yeah, it's an interesting, and Cloris Leachman's in the film as well. But I had to get it for my Peter Bogdanovich collection. And Steven, I made a bad choice. I accidentally bought the same movie twice. I thought I owned the movie and I couldn't find it when I was posting about Billy Wilder's birthday a little while ago. So I thought I didn't have it. So I rebought it, and it's the exact same release. That is Billy Wilder's 1, 2, 3. So there is an older edition of this that came out in 2019 that went out of print, and then they reacquired the rights and put it back out in a quote unquote like collector's edition or special edition. The only difference is the slipcover.
Exactly.
It's the same exact release as their old one. It even has the reversible art is the art they used for their first release. So I own this movie twice. It's Billy Wilder. I don't mind owning the same Billy Wilder movie twice, but don't do what I do and make sure you log your collections and make sure you know what you have before you buy things from a sale, or else you end up owning multiple copies of the same movie that are the exact same edition. I thought for some reason maybe they had done it. What they usually do is when they re-release a movie that they've already released, they put it on a larger disc. So they go from like a 25 gigabyte disc to a 50 gigabyte disc. It helps with the compression. Yeah. It makes the movie look slightly better, and sometimes they'll add a commentary. But in this case, it's the same special features and the same disc, I believe. So I got a slipcover, though. So I'm a slipcover aficionado. But that is it for my Kino stuff. What are some of your stories, Stephen?
Well, first I'll run down. I do have real quick. I'm thinking about using this release as like my October fun. That Umbrella Monster and Curiosities. I'm thinking about running through this in October and maybe like using maybe do some shorts or something maybe about some of these. We'll see if I can stick to it. It's kind of tough for me these days to watch this many movies. Luckily, these are a lot of shorter movies, so I can probably do it. We'll see. But I'm thinking about jumping through this. I got this recently. Great release, of course. 45 movies. They're all.
Is that Umbrella?
It's Umbrella, yes.
Yeah. It's one of their biggest.
It's their most ambitious releases they've ever done. Also, I recently got that Whole Bloody Affair released from Lionsgate Limited. I saw this in theaters. It was amazing. I had to have this. It's not running away with like best physical media release awards when it comes to like features and things like that. It's like a lot of there are nothing there, but it is a cool package. I'm glad to have it. I needed to upgrade my Kill Bill anyway in general. So also from Lionsgate Unlimited, I did get Sing Street in.
Oh,
the 10th anniversary. I've already watched it and watched the new feature on it. It's amazing. I love this movie. I know Dustin Putman, who was in the chat earlier, loves this movie. And he got the same edition. I every time I watch this movie, it gives me the feels. It gives me it just. I think John Carney's very underappreciated. You don't get a lot of filmmakers that show their appreciation for music like he does. I think Cameron Crowe did, but we don't see the like good Cameron Crowe anymore. He ain't really.
We don't see any Cameron Crowe.
We don't see any Cameron Crowe anymore. So, but Illuminated Pro says, "What's up, boys?" So that's that.
That's a good. I can't believe it's been 10 years since that movie came out.
I know.
That's more astonishing to me.
Some more I got this was a Canadian International Pictures release that I got, and every time I see movies that are films about making films or films in that kind of, because I have another podcast I'm thinking about I'm working on it, and I'm just gathering every time I find a movie that's in that kind of demographic of like films about making movies or films about the love of movies, I grab them. So this one here, this animated film, Tiki Tiki, is an animated movie about them making a movie. So I was like, I'm going to grab it, I guess. So I can't really say much about it other than it's the same filmmaker that did Heavy Metal.
So, I tried to find that movie to watch to talk about on Chasing Labels, and it was just not available to watch anywhere. I've got a couple myself. More Kino here. I finally picked up my 4K edition of The Phantom, starring the one and only Billy Zane. I've just been remarked on how much of a childhood nostalgic favorite this is of mine. I've brought this up many times. I saw Billy Zane at a convention many years ago. I was like 5 feet away from him. It's like still one of my highlights. And then I picked. I did not include this in my Arrow sale because I didn't get this during the Arrow sale. I also think this is not part of the Arrow sale in general because it's a UK release. To Live and Die in LA, the 4K UHD release from Arrow. This of course has come out through Kino, who I was just talking about. But Arrow put it out themselves, and I figured I would finally get the 4K of To Live and Die in LA, the William Friedkin film from the 1980s, which is really, really good. One of his better films. So that's that. Awesome. Anything else, Steven? Because I got one more.
Okay. I got a couple of the Transmission releases that just came out. Yeah. I got the double feature two boxes here. The two TV movies. I've seen the one, the La Cabino.
The guy becomes obsessed with the TV.
No, I've seen that's El Televisor. Televisor. That's the one you've seen. You've seen both.
I've seen both of them.
I haven't seen. I seen the one with him in the telephone booth.
Oh, in the telephone box where he's stuck in the telephone box.
Yeah. It's great.
My worst nightmare.
And then of course, Vampire's Kiss on 4K. This edition, I can't wait to get into it. I own this. I've owned this movie 3 times.
Yeah, the way I pitch that movie to people is every GIF or every meme you've seen of Nicolas Cage, chances are it's come from that movie.
Yeah.
There's the one where he's pointing. There's the one where he's like walking in the street. There's the one with where he's got the fake teeth. That's all from that movie. People, in that movie, thinks he got turned into a vampire.
Yeah,
That's the premise of the movie.
I'm a big Nick Cage guy. I love him to death. I'm gonna fly through these last few, and then I'll let you. We'll end on you. This is one of a potential movies down memory lane, so I picked it up. I've never seen it.
Ooh.
The Talented Mr. Ripley. Yeah, never seen it. I know people love it.
Anthony Minghella.
Obsession here on 4K. You know, it's a big deal right now. Really loved it. Begonia, I was talking about earlier. Got this in. I got three 4Ks for $40 on Groove. I got Companion, and then I got M. Night Shyamalan's Trap, which I thought was okay. I didn't love it. Josh Hartnett was great in it though, and I like M. Night Shyamalan. I don't care what anybody says. And then today in the mail, I got Project Hail Mary.
Nice.
So
I wanted to buy that this week, and I should have told people about this. There's going to be I think an Amazon exclusive Steelbook is coming out in October that has special features, as opposed to that release, which I think only has like 2 features on it, or maybe like 1.
Illumination Pro says, I love Kevin Crowe. Well, I do too.
Nice. So something I picked up in the mail that I wanted to get a couple of years ago, which I'm glad I was glad to get it with the slipcover, is Robert Zemeckis' Death Becomes Her, 4K UHD from Scream Factory / Shout Factory. I've never owned the movie, and I know so many people are big fans of it. They turned it into a Broadway play musical. My mom went to see it last year. But anywho, this movie, of course, stars Meryl Streep, Bruce Willis, Goldie Hawn. I just wanted this movie in general because I've never owned it, so I'm glad I picked it up. Probably going to give it a rewatch sometime soon, just because it's been a few years since I've seen it. Like I said, people really like this movie. It's sandwiched in there between all of his Back to the Future movies. Yeah. It seems to be in the mix of all of those. But yeah, that's the last one I have. Death Becomes Her.
Awesome. Well, that was our big rundown at the end of pickups we've had in recent days. But that is it for this installment of the Unwatched Pile. Thanks everybody for listening, watching. Of course, we'll be back in a couple weeks with another episode. Of course, also Chasing Labels is in between somewhere, so wait for that, and we'll be having another Movies Down Memory Lane coming here at the end of the month. We're doing the Before trilogy, so watch out for that if you're a big fan of the Before trilogy. Ethan Hawke, Richard Linklater. So we'll get into that deep discussion, but that'll be it for tonight. And thanks, guys. And what are you still doing here? You should be watching movies. What losers watch this stuff